It is 12 noon. Welcome back into Three Man Front. A really great conversation with Rob Pate, former Auburn DB. If you missed that interview or previous interview with Rodney Orr from Tider Insider, Eric Henry from Horns 247, you can always download the Three Man Front podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We welcome you to watch the show each and every day on YouTube as that audience continues to grow each and every day. And we appreciate you not only tuning in across the great state of Alabama, but also watching us on YouTube.
I like so many Jocks listeners. We appreciate Mandu. Mandu in downtown Homewood. It's electrical muscle stimulation fitness. What happens? You go into Mandu. Your first visit is free. They'll put you through the workout. Put you in a suit, hook you up in a machine that sends electric pulses to various parts of your body, whether you're trying to work your shoulders, your arms, your abs, your calves, your glutes, whatever it may be, or you're training, you're just trying to build up endurance. Mandu, they got tailor-made workout programs just for you. But the beauty of Mandu, 15 minutes, that's all. It's a 15-minute workout. Every single time they put you through the workout specific to whatever you're trying to improve, and it's the equivalent of 6 hours in a gym. 15 minutes equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. FDA approved. It works. I've gotten results. Damian Mitchell's gotten results. So many other Jocks listeners have as well. At least just try it. It's free for the first visit. They'll put you through the workout. MANDUU.com. And right now you tell them Jocks when you mention us, you're going to get 10% off your monthly membership. 15% off if you're a student. MANDUU.com. Tell Paul on the game that Landrum from Jocks sent you.
The wild card round of the Major League Baseball playoffs, it will end today. Detroit's at Cleveland. That's at 2 o'clock first pitch. San Diego at Chicago taking on the Cubbies. That's at 4 o'clock. Boston and New York. That is a primetime game tonight on ESPN at 7 o'clock. The Dodgers, they punched their ticket to the next round of the playoffs. They took out the Cincinnati Redlegs last night in Chavez Ravine. So they will now face the Philadelphia Phillies. Did you see where the Philadelphia Phillies had a workout, an inter-squad workout at their stadium yesterday?
I hate that.
And 30,000 plus fans showed up to watch them basically take BP.
Well, I know it didn't work well for the Braves when they did the simulated games, when they had to wait.
Did you see, though, where the Mariners did that yesterday and they had Ichiro come out and play?
That was so cool.
That is awesome. He played right field in their inter-squad game yesterday.
See,
what about King Griffey Jr.?
Nah.
He was probably over there taking pictures.
Yeah,
he's a big
that's right.
photographer
He's
now.
him and Randy Johnson both.
Yeah, big time. We've been talking a lot about Vanderbilt and Alabama, and if you missed it earlier on the program, Rodney Orr, he predicted a high-scoring game, but he likes Bama 45-34. We've been trying to get a score prediction out of Conrad because if you missed, Conrad kind of lost it. I'm just being completely
I'm not going to
honest.
hold him to this because he was feeling very frustrated.
He was mad.
He was frustrated, and we went to break, and I heard 52-17.
I don't think he's endorsing that score, by the way. I think that was just him being frustrated.
But I did hear 52-17.
So that's not your score prediction.
That was angry Conrad, right?
That is not my score prediction. That is I live in a ideal world score prediction.
Why is Diego Pavia already in your head?
That's him and Johnny Manziel, both of them.
I've just kind of gotten tired of the shtick. Like, I think he's a great player. He's great for Vanderbilt. It's a great story.
So it's a shtick.
It is a shtick. You're giving the dude a locker in the middle of the locker room. You're Vanderbilt, and you have Johnny Manziel on your sideline.
Are you saying that Diego Pavia is a fluke?
No, I think he's a really good player.
Okay.
I just think it's great to rah-rah and around the team these last couple of years, and it's been really fun. But, I mean, are we not all expecting that next year Vanderbilt's going to be right back at the bottom of the conference? I mean, I could be totally wrong on this. Maybe they go in the portal and find somebody, but it's a great story right now. It's Vanderbilt. I'm sorry.
Well, according to our good friend Kelly Ford from the K Ford ratings, he's got Alabama as an 82% chance of beating Vanderbilt.
I thought you were about to give a score. 82.
Wow. 82% chance of Alabama winning against Vanderbilt. He's got them 67% next week against Mizzou, 81% against Tennessee, 79% on the road at South Carolina, 79% chance of winning at Bryant-Denny against LSU, 77 at Bryant-Denny against Oklahoma, and a 74% chance at Jordan-Hare Stadium to wrap up the season.
So according to Kelly Ford, this is the easiest game they have left in SEC play.
Yeah.
According to his metrics,
It's a good way to look at it.
yes, that is correct.
And Auburn is the most difficult.
Auburn will have that offense figured out by then.
No, at Missouri, a 67%
Oh,
chance.
sorry.
So Mizzou is the toughest
Next
road
week,
game.
The Missouri game, that's going to be an
Oh, Ahmad Hardy's going to be licking his chops watching film next
early
week.
game in Como.
Yeah, that's
Ew.
it was well, not funny, but I was reading the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and they were talking about how Mizzou folks were really pissed off about the game time, talking about that could potentially be like one of the largest games in the history of Missouri football since they played Kansas back when they were like number 2 and number 3.
Yeah.
And it's an 11 o'clock kickoff. It was basically they were taking, the cues from Ohio State last year.
Yeah.
Like here we are. We've got one of the biggest games in the history of the Missouri football program, and we've got to get fired up and play a game at 11 o'clock in the morning against Alabama. Like they are not happy whatsoever. But
No, and I would be frustrated if I'm them too, because you're going to go, well, this is a top, presuming Alabama wins this weekend, right? This is going to be a top 20 matchup. In the SEC, why
Yeah.
would it be at 11 a.m.? I think that's a fair concern to have, and I'll be honest. I think Alabama traveling up there to play early in the morning against the best running back in the country, in my opinion, there's a recipe there.
A lot of you reacting to Conrad laying it down for our Vandy listeners, like E. Robinson and others. E played at Vandy, saying that Vanderbilt absolutely has no chance in this game and that Alabama's going to name their scorer.
Now you're misquoting me.
That Diego Pavia, you did say people are acting like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ.
I did say that part.
205-834-9450. Jimmy, Diego Pavia may be in Conrad's head more than he was in Malachi Moore's head last year.
I'm a head case right now. Me and Ryan Williams.
Someone listening on the Jocks app, if Bama wins and covers, Landrum and Pat should have to refer to Conrad as Daddy Conrad all week. Well, first of all,
That would be weird. I'd rather y'all did not do that.
that will never happen. And he will not be allowed to call at least me, and I'm speak for Pat, Daddy either. But I think Alabama wins the game.
no one's predicting that
Nobody's
Alabama's
predicting that
not going to
Alabama's
win
not
the
going to
game.
win the game.
I just think it's going to be
It's
a
the
very,
arrogance.
very
It's
tough
the
game.
arrogance that Conrad has displayed and the disrespect towards Clark Lee, his family, Diego Pavia, his family.
What have you talked about his family?
I don't know. Whatever y'all make up in your minds, I guess.
No, don't say we.
In this instance, Landrum. Yes.
I thought you made a comment about his brothers.
I did not say no. That was Brett last week.
Oh, sorry.
That was
Well, I will
Brett.
I will
No,
be
that
the
was
first to apologize
That was Dimitri, not Brett.
for
Sorry.
contributing.
I was about to
those
say, I don't remember
comments.
Brett doing
That
that.
was Dimitri.
Okay, but somebody did say it. I didn't dream that, right?
No, it was Dimitri.
Okay.
It was him. See, here's what you're not thinking about, though. See, because y'all are proud because you laid a trap and I took the bait, and congratulations. But you're also forgetting that I win even if Vanderbilt wins. And why is that? Because of something this guy said at the beginning of the season.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
not forget.
About the earrings?
Let's not forget that.
I'm pulling for it. I
Was
hate it
it-
if that means an Alabama loss.
That's college football playoff. He's got to get
Yeah.
his ears pierced,
No,
right?
it's playing for a national championship.
I thought it was playoff.
I thought it was
You're
the
thinking wrong.
playoffs.
You
Is
have
it
to go
playoff?
back. No, it
What
was
is it?
playing for a national championship. Yeah, thank you, Molly.
God.
But I'm pulling for it.
Okay, well, now I'm back to wanting
Why doesn't
Alabama to
Molly
win.
read the script for the show?
I want to have. Well, I'm not going to get real diamonds, but they will look like real diamonds. Stud earrings like Diego has. Both ears, 1 month. Wear them.
Are you going to get it pierced at Claire's?
I don't know.
We're going to do it on the show. We're just going to have an ice cube and an ice pick.
I bet Molly could do
And a
that.
sewing needle.
Molly, how many people's ears have you pierced in your life?
0.
It's about to be one.
No, I want a professional with a gun.
How about just an ice pick and an ice cube behind your
No,
earlobe?
We're not doing that
Why?
because
That'll be fun.
I think that'd be a great idea.
I think it'd be great.
I'm not doing that. I don't want the bolts through my ears. What are those called?
The gauges, the big ones? Yeah, you don't want that.
Not my thing.
No.
Jimmy says, do we have an update on Theo Vaughn's date with Diego's mom?
Couldn't tell you.
Will Theo Vaughn also be at the game with Diego's mom? Clinton Huntsville wants to know.
Maybe so. Theo Vaughn and Drewski are big friends, and Drewski's an Alabama fan, so maybe they'll both be there. Who knows?
This coming from an Auburn guy. Bama 55, Vandy 27. Bet the farm and fire Clue Sleaze.
Clue Sleaze.
Clue Sleaze.
I like it.
And Clue is spelled UGH. Do we need to get Conrad a T-Rex plushie? Posey is asking. Thank you, Posey.
Yes, that would calm me down right now.
Posey, I just want to let you know, I appreciate everybody's text. I really appreciate your texts every day. A lot of them I can't read, but you put a lot of thought into them. Thank you. This one reads, Utah State threw all over Vanderbilt last week at Vanderbilt in front of 28,000 fans. I added that. How Alabama is not going to do the same. I think Alabama will have success throwing the football. Conrad, you want to add anything?
Nope.
Vanderbilt is currently 10th in the SEC in pass defense.
Jason says, I just flushed 2 goldfish down the toilet listening about Pavia.
I forgot about that.
Those 4-pound goldfish.
Yeah, you got to watch out. It causes problems in the ecosystems.
Thank you, Jason.
You got to go feed
awesome.
them to the grizzly bears at the Birmingham Zoo.
Jason listens. Auburn Turner loves it when y'all get Conrad going about Bama. Tilted head, laughing, crying emoji. He can't take it and lets it all out. At least he can talk, though. Being an Auburn fan, we can't say anything. Bama 38, Vanderbilt 16.
Interesting.
Uh,
I'm riding with Conrad. I think Bama jumps out to the big lead early, and Pavia throws a few interceptions playing catch-up. Bama 56, Vandy 30. Bama Jeff, thank you. Walker appreciated what Crimson Convict had to say in his support of young Conrad. Josh, another Auburn fan. Bama Vandy score prediction. Bama 45. I'm not going to argue that they put up 45 points. Vandy 21. So 24-point spread there. Dylan says now during Georgia versus Bama week, we will refer to Conrad as Daddy Conrad moving forward. 42-17, Bama wins. Uh-oh, somebody took exception. Please put cocky Conrad back on the bench. Don't you dare take that attitude in the stadium Saturday. Are you sure you want to go? Conrad, I'm going to read this text again. Please put cocky Conrad back on the bench. Don't you dare take that attitude into the stadium Saturday. Are you sure you want to go?
Absolutely. It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait to be there.
Tommy with an IE. Alabama will lose to Vanderbilt. Georgia doesn't have the team, the media, and everyone else claims they have. I can't wait. Careful, Conrad. Pride cometh before the fall.
I know. I let Pat Landrum get under my skin. I'm sorry.
Rat poison, 37-17, Bama. And Matt reminds us that Vandy gave up 35 to Utah State.
They did, and 543 yards.
They were looking ahead. They were working on Bama.
Utah State led that game.
Working on Bama.
It's going to be a good weekend. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's get to your phone calls. One of our favorite callers, Miles, in the great state of Mississippi. Miles, welcome in.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Y'all are my favorite people to call.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks, Miles.
Y'all, this may seem unusual, but it's just something I'm wondering, and y'all would certainly know better than I would. You notice how, we've noticed some discipline issues with Alabama on the field the past 2 years, but really we noticed it even toward the end of Saban's tenure. And here's what I'm wondering. The Vanderbilt game last year and then some of the stuff we're seeing with Damani Jackson this year lead me to this question. we know that a lot of the guys Coach Saban coached, when they were with him, they kept their nose clean. And then when they got away from Alabama, when they went into pro football or whatever, some of those guys got in a lot of trouble. Their lives fell apart. Here's what I'm wondering was Nick Saban just so structured that he kept those guys from getting in trouble? And is DeBoer's philosophy a little more, maybe he's not as structured, but he is going to recruit guys who he expects to be able to handle themselves and not require so much structure? This is a complete random hypothesis. And I'm wondering, just to get your thoughts, I'm spitballing here.
Well, there's definitely a different personality with Kalen DeBoer than it was with Nick Saban. People around the program talk about how this year you're hearing a more boisterous, a more vocal Kalen DeBoer in regards to, getting his emphatic opinion across at practice. And obviously during a game, you can see he's got more emotion on the sideline than he did last year. Mm-hmm. But from all the other things you talked about from the structure, I've heard nothing but good things about the way Kalen DeBoer has things structured in that football program. Again, everyone's got their own spin on how you're going to try to run a program. So I'm not really sure if, I think people quickly want to point to certain things with Kalen DeBoer when the team is maybe not playing in the college football playoff, why they're not playing, and they're going to immediately go to the areas that they see that Nick Saban might have had a more of a control over the program. But just the people that I talk to,
I don't think the standards and the values have changed. I think it's more on
zero.
What Pat said originally. You just got different personalities.
Yeah, it's a completely different spin. So,
and another thing to remember about Kalen DeBoer not being so demonstrative on the sideline last year, you got to remember he was also pretty much running an offense and looking over the shoulder of a guy that that's not the case with Ryan Grubb. Not saying that he's not involved, but he trusts Ryan Grubb. That's his baby.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that I know it was some years prior that they worked together, Kane Womack and DeBoer at Indiana. But, he's working with his defensive coordinator, for the first time. And now you're seeing a situation where everyone is a little bit more settled in. And obviously he's got, Ryan Grubb back, as Landrum just pointed out. He is pretty much that safety blanket. Everywhere that they have been successful offensively because of Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer. And that's nothing against Nick Sheridan. I think Nick Sheridan was put in a very difficult spot last year. Being a first-time coordinator in this conference.
And they weren't terrible on offense.
Tough. No, they weren't. But that's
Nick
really
Sheridan
tough
didn't
ask.
fumble or throw to the other team.
No, that would be Jalen Milroe.
Well, I appreciate y'all answering that. It was just.
I'm not really sure we answered it, but I mean that is a good hypothesis. But that's something that a lot of people have, especially just absolutely after that FSU loss. There's been a lot of questions about that, Miles. So it goes without saying it's a very good question.
Well, I shouldn't even have called it a hypothesis because it's certainly not an educated guess. So I was just wondering if that is a possibility. I'm supporting Coach DeBoer, and I want him to have a lot of success. I love his personality. Seems like a super nice guy, and I don't think you have to be a jerk to get things done. That's one thing I like about him. But, let me ask y'all something. Y'all have covered so many coaching transitions. Even with the talent Alabama has, and some of it are left over from Saban, do coaches take into account when they're recruiting people, is this guy going to be somebody who's going to respond to my coaching? Like there may be a different kind of player, I'm wondering, who responds to DeBoer, differently to DeBoer than Saban.
Absolutely.
And does the coach need time to get his people in?
Well, the problem with the last part of what you said is that no program has the luxury of time. Not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you try to get people on campus, and if you're a 17-year-old come straight out of high school, or you reclassified, you're really supposed to be a senior in high school, and you come to the school early and you're good enough to play, you better play them. And you just don't have the luxury of developing talent anymore. It's like you get them on campus and you better play them or they're going to be gone. First opportunity in January in the portal.
Well, I appreciate that. And this is y'all answer the question, and this is my last thing. I'm going to hang up. The reason I ask the questions I ask is it is interesting to me that the players who transferred from Washington with DeBoer, like Jeremy Bernard,
Brailsford,
Parco Brailsford, and
Austin
even
Mack.
Cuevas, are Yeah, are some of your most consistent players, and you never see them doing stupid stuff on the field. Like running your mouth, potentially getting a penalty. You don't see that from them. You do see it from the leftovers, the carryovers.
That's a
like
very good point.
Damani Jackson.
Very good point.
So I wonder if DeBoer likes to recruit a more mature player, because I'll be honest, I think Damani Jackson's greatest asset are the muscles around his mouth, that he operates extremely well.
Wow.
That's the problem. The mouth is running, but we're blowing coverages and we're not doing our job. We're not doing run fits. And then we go run our mouths. And I don't know how many times he's gotten probably inches away from a penalty, but he's a liability, not because he's necessarily just because he's struggling, but he's struggling and he's running his mouth so much, it tells me he's not focused.
And Miles, it's not specific for Damani Jackson, but I agree with you 110%. There's nothing more frustrating than a guy running his mouth after he just got burned 2 plays before, and he went step for step with a wide receiver who got overthrown by 3 yards.
Yes.
Like, shut up and play.
I'm with you. I can't stand it. When I was a kid, I didn't see this much mouth running. It's gotten worse. I mean, it's like Saban said, join the debate team.
Yep.
Y'all have a great one. I appreciate your time. Happy weekend.
Hey, you as well. Thank you, Miles. Always appreciate your phone call. Brett Norsworthy, the Southern gentleman. We will talk to Brett about the upcoming slate. Ole Miss, college football playoff national championship contender. And his Iron Scale Bowl prediction. We continue on this Thursday. 12:25, three-man front. The Southern gentleman, Brett Norsworthy, talking SEC as I Ain't Scared Bowl prediction of the college football weekend. Coming up in just a little bit, we have been spending a lot of time previewing Alabama and Vanderbilt. Conrad with some very interesting comments. Also, we talked to Eric Henry, trying to diagnose what's going on with Arch Manning as the Longhorns get ready to take on the Florida Gators in the Swamp this weekend. Rodney Orr of Tighter Insider and Rob Pate trying to figure out what is going on with Auburn, where the Tigers turn next, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Three-man front podcast right there at jocksfm.com. Well, every single week, we like to take a little bit of time because we know a lot of you enjoy the NFL. You also enjoy fantasy football. Conrad is an expert when it comes to filling out your lineup. This is what we call Conrad's Fantasy Corner.
Touchdown! Conrad's Fantasy Corner.
All right, everybody, we're heading into week 5 of the NFL season. I hope everyone was a big winner last week. Unfortunately, I came up a few points short because one of my wide receivers tore his ACL. So that is the unfortunate reality of fantasy football. But we'll get into what you need to know for this week in just a moment. But, of course, we always like to start with a look back at the week previous and the highest scores from that week. So this week we have a couple running backs and a couple wide receivers. So Puka Nacua, wide receiver 1 there for the LA Rams. You'll get to see him tonight in Thursday Night Football. He was the number 1 scorer in fantasy last week, 36 points for him, 13 catches, 170 yards, and a tutty there for the Rams. Ashton Jeanty, the rookie out of Boise State, I have him in my fantasy lineup, and I'm glad that I did because he had 33.5 points last week. He went for 138 yards on the ground and a touchdown and added 2 receiving touchdowns as well. So a big day there for the rookie. George Pickens, another person on my team, he had 33.4 fantasy points filling in for CeeDee Lamb, 8 catches, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Josh Jacobs, former Alabama running back, he had a big one with 2 rushing touchdowns and over 150 yards from scrimmage for the Packers last week. He had 31.7 fantasy points. So those are your top performers from last week. Now, let's get to some injuries. So I mentioned it. I had a wide receiver tear his ACL. That would be one Tyreek Hill. We all saw that awful injury on Monday Night Football. He's out for the year, recovering from the ACL injury. Malik Neighbors also tore his ACL last week, and unfortunately the superstar receiver there for the Giants. So he's out, and so is Tyreek Hill for the remainder of the season. Now let's move on to Lamar Jackson dealing with the hamstring issue he sustained in the Chiefs game last week. He is doubtful for this week. There's still maybe a little bit of optimism that he could go, but the general expectation was that he would miss a couple of weeks there for Baltimore. So keep an eye if you have Lamar Jackson on your team. Good news, though, is Jaden Daniels. He's going to be back for the Commanders this week at quarterback against the Chargers. So I know a lot of people are going to be excited about that. I was just talking about CeeDee Lamb being out last week. Well, he's out again this week. So again, if you have George Pickens like myself, load up on some George Pickens. Mike Evans, he's going to be out again this week for the Buccaneers as well. And one of the guys that I highlighted to pick up for you last week, unfortunately, Cardinals running back Trey Benson. He was just placed on injured reserve, so he'll be out for the next month plus after James Conner got hurt the week previously. So we'll get to some of those Cardinals running backs coming up here in just a moment. 49ers going to be out a few players tonight as they take on the Rams in Thursday Night Football. Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings all going to be out for the 49ers. George Kittle's still out as well. So it's going to be a lot of work for Mac Jones and that offense tonight. For the Commanders, you get Jaden Daniels back, but now Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel both questionable at wide receiver. For the Titans, Calvin Ridley listed as questionable this week. For the Buccaneers, you have Baker Mayfield and Bucky Irving. They're very nice running back there. Both of them questionable now heading into the weekend. Steelers running back Jaylen Warren is questionable, which is why you should have listened and picked up Kenneth Gainwell. Like I told you to the past couple of weeks, he had 31 fantasy points this past week, and Jaylen Warren again is questionable. Chuba Hubbard for the Panthers running back, he's questionable as well. And then a trio of big tight ends that are questionable this week. Brock Bowers for the Raiders, David Njoku for the Browns, and Dallas Goedert for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now let's get to some players that I think you should keep an eye on or consider adding to your roster if you have not done so already. So at quarterback, you got a couple of options. I told you last week maybe take a flyer on Jackson Dart, and I know they didn't win the game, but he had almost 20 fantasy points last week, had 50 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. He has a lot of upside with his legs. So Jackson Dart, I still think worth at least stashing on your bench and seeing what he does in the next couple of weeks. Carson Wentz, still expected to fill in for J.J. McCarthy this week. He's averaging over 18 points a game in his 2 starts for the Vikings this year. Now let's look at the running back spot. I mentioned the Cardinals being banged up there big time. So you've got a choice, Emari Demercado or Michael Carter. Both of them expected to get an opportunity for the Cardinals running back room. So you could do pretty well by picking up one or maybe even both of those guys for your roster. I mentioned Kenneth Gainwell already. Jalen Warren still a little banged up, so maybe going to get the starting nod for the Steelers. He had 31 points last week, so worth adding. And then how about Woody Marks, the rookie for the Houston Texans? He had 27.9 fantasy points last week and outpaced Nick Chubb as far as rushing goes for the Texans. So a good look there. Now at wide receiver, you've got Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton, both looking to have an increase in volume with Malik Neighbors out for the season. So a couple of names to keep an eye on there. Kendrick Bourne, if you need someone to play tonight, he will be the top receiver for the 49ers. As I just told you, Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall are both going to be out for tonight's game. And this one, a little bit of a sleeper. Don't know when exactly he'll be back, but don't forget about Christian Watson of the Packers. He's been a really explosive receiver for them. He's coming off an injury, hasn't played yet this year, but they're already down Jaden Reed. I went and picked him up, put him on my IR this morning. Christian Watson, a good stash play, I think, at wide receiver. We also have tight end Brenton Strange. I've told you about him a couple of times now. The Jaguars tight end. Pick him up as he leads the Jags in both the receptions and receiving yards. And finally, some defenses to stream this week. Cardinals versus Titans and Giants versus the Saints. That is my fantasy football corner for week 5.
Thank you, Conrad. Hopefully that helps your lineup out this week. Coming up next, he helps us out every week. It's the Southern gentleman, Brett Norsworthy, breaking down the slate of games, and he gives us his I Ain't Scared Bowl prediction of the weekend. You don't want to miss it. Brett is next on 3-Man Front. 12:35, Brett Norsworthy, the Southern gentleman, momentarily did want to throw out one more little nugget, historically speaking, on Alabama Vanderbilt in the all-time series, which Alabama has dominated. No surprise there. But Saturday's date, October the 4th, Conrad, these two programs have met on that date twice in their storied history. The first one coming October 4th, 1947, when Vanderbilt defeated Alabama 14-7. The last coming back in October 4th of 1958, a Bear Bryant team, 0-0 was the final. So Alabama 0-1-1 when playing on October 4th.
So loss, tie,
against Vanderbilt.
Victory.
Oh, I see.
Just working up the chart of results.
Oh, I got you.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham Hotline. Joining us now from WHBQ in Memphis, the Ole Miss Radio Network, Brett Norsworthy joins us here on the program. Brett, what's going on?
Doing well. You know, October 4th, 1969, who Alabama played Archie Manning and Ole Miss on ABC with Chris Schenkel and Bud Wilkinson and Bill Fleming, 33-32, Crimson Tide. But the Archie Manning legend was born that night, and we watched it on my grandmother's color TV.
How about that? A color TV. That's big time right there. Chris Schenkel, one of the nicest guys I ever had an opportunity to talk to in this business.
He is. Really nice man. The old Hoosier, Chris Schenkel, and forever was the official voice of the highlight film from the year before of the Masters at Augusta National.
Sure was.
Brett, you're so knowledgeable, and you kind of reliving history and telling stories on this show is great, but October 4th, is that just one of those dates that you naturally just know because it's historic for Ole Miss, or can you just randomly pull out any date and tie it up with something?
I kind of can randomly do it, Landrum. I don't know how or why. It was so aggravating my dad. He one time very frustrated when I wouldn't go to law school. He said, "You mean to tell me you can remember the 1947 World Series, but you won't go to law school?" I said, "No, Dad. There's enough lawyers. I'm not doing it." But that game was big for me. That was the first college football game I can really consciously remember sitting down and watching all of it. And then about 2 months later, we went to the Liberty Bowl to see Alabama and Colorado on December 13th, 1969, and that was my first college football game.
So good.
And that day I saw that legend in that hat, and I saw Ralphie the Buffalo, and I said, I think I kind of like this.
All right, well, let's before we talk, get your thoughts on Alabama Vandy coming up this weekend. I want to go back to Ole Miss's just really great performance, and the defense really shut down Nussmeier, and no running game whatsoever for LSU, and Chambliss continues to excel in Oxford. Just your thoughts now, where the Rebels currently stand, a top 5 team.
Well, it just couldn't be in better shape, and have already avenged 2 heartbreaking losses from last year, doing it on the road at Kentucky and at home against LSU, having lost to Kentucky at home last year in overtime in the heartbreaker to LSU. But I tell you, we give it another week, and I'm going to have people describing LSU like they're Southeast Louisiana. A week ago, they were just the behemoths of the bayou. I mean, all the portal and the NIL that handpicked best roster Brian Kelly's ever had, and all those hosses on defense and Nussmeier. And now after Ole Miss has won, I hear them talk about it like they're some little league team.
All right, so there's more games left to play, but thoroughly impressed with Ole Miss to this point, especially with what Trinidad Chambliss has done.
Yeah.
But, Brett, this Ole Miss team, you think ceiling is maybe higher just because of how they play together, schedule, whatever, than maybe some of the past teams that had the lofty expectations?
All those things and one more big one, Landrum, the ceiling higher, because Lane Kiffin, I've never been around a guy that learns from that stumble, whether it's a stumble in his career, a stumble in his personal life, a stumble in a game, a stumble in a half, whatever it is, he learns from it, adapts, and does his very best not to let it happen again. He really is. We got him in his wheelhouse of his coaching career and in his life, and that's the ceiling. Is this team just better on the hoof than last year's team? Probably not. I mean, Walter Nolan, J.J. Pegues, and Princely Umana Mielen, they don't come along all the time, but we're getting something done in the defensive line. And I told y'all early in this when I joined you in August first time and at media days, if Ole Miss is really, really good this year and goes to what I think they will, it will be a defensive story. Well, it wasn't early. I mean, even opening day, Georgia State ran the ball pretty effectively, and at Kentucky was fortunate to lucky to win. And then Arkansas, piled up all the points in the first half. Then against Tulane, and the practice week at Tuesday and Wednesday practice before Tulane, it was rough and ready. It was old school football that week. Got them ready for Tulane and got them ready for LSU, and now open day, Washington State next week, and then the back-to-back games on the road at Georgia and at Norman, and that will go a long way to defining the year. If it's a sweep, then Ole Miss can get ready for a really special December, maybe even SEC championship game. If it's a split, still alive. It's a sweep, then all the questions and all the people that can't wait to pounce on Lane will come out and play.
So you saw him in person, and I know Brian Kelly admitted a couple weeks ago that Nussmeier was not 100%. And watching him against Ole Miss, just something does not seem right, Brett. Do you agree with that assessment, or I'm just reading too much into it?
No, Pat, I do agree with that. I don't think he's right, but I've had I'm sure not trying to be a wise guy, to you or to y'all or to your great audience. Your great audience, they know they don't have to hear that. They want to hear just the facts, Jack. Well, here is just a fact that sounds like being a wise guy. Yeah, Doug Nussmeier, I think, was hurt. So was Austin Simmons.
Brett Norsworthy,
bingo. Yeah.
Ole Miss Football Radio Network, also radio host there in Memphis, WBQ.
And I'm sorry to call him Doug. I meant Gary.
Brett, as we jump around the SEC, Alabama, so impressive. Ty Simpson, I didn't think he'd be bad. I thought he'd be better than average, not just a game manager, but he has absolutely impressed me. I think he's playing as good or better than any quarterback in the country. He's certainly worthy of Heisman consideration. What are you seeing with Ty Simpson? What are you thinking about this Alabama team after last weekend?
Well, he's caught another gear, and he's getting really good coaches. What Grubb did to Schumann, especially in the first half, was, that violates things at The Hague. He just wore him out in the first half. Now, everybody kind of adjusted in the second half, but Ty Simpson's really growing in that position, and he's so easy to pull for, waited his time. A lot of people playing in front of him. There are a million places he could have got out of town and gotten probably a pocket full of money and a lot of playing time, but he stuck it out. He wanted to wear that red helmet. He wanted to be part of that tradition, and that says something to me, and it's why I think Alabama would dispatch of Vandy quite easily on Saturday. Okay,
well, let's go there. You said pretty easily. You and Conrad are in the same camp with that feeling. What would be the issues? Would it be Pavia or Alabama's lack of run defense? How could Vandy make this a close game?
Well, I think it starts with Pavia into play action and kind of the check downs to Stowers, but a pretty good run game for Vandy. I think Alabama's got to load the box and dare Pavia to beat him over the top. I don't think he can. I know he played well last year. He's a really good ball player. It's a great story what Vandy's doing, and all their historical numbers, they're chopping down. It's quite impressive. I'm not here to crack on Vandy, but I am here to say that we're going to get everything reset back to what it usually is. And I think Bama wins about 38-17, 38-21, something like that.
Is there any potential of Billy Napier saving his job and beating Texas this weekend?
Well, it's not only the potential of Billy Napier saving his job this weekend. He does an incredible job of getting himself in a lot of trouble and then always doing something to get himself out of trouble. Well, he can do that again this week, and he'll do it with my ain't scared pick of the week, Florida 24-10 over Texas.
Oh, there it is. Let's have some music, Conrad, shall we? Let's let him do this right. All right, each and every week on this program, Brett Norsworthy, his I ain't scared bold prediction. Hit it again, Brett.
Gators straight up over the Longhorns, and Eli Manning is really struggling. And I think after this weekend, I hope somebody does the big think piece on Eli of what if he'd have gone to Ole Miss? Would he have gotten better coaching from Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss and Joe Judge than he's gotten from Sark?
That's a big one. Brett's calling the out just outright win by the Florida Gators against the wonderful Texas Longhorns coming up this weekend. All right. You're as connected as they come, especially in the state of Arkansas. What are you hearing about the open position with Sam Pittman being fired last weekend? Where do you think Arkansas is leaning right now?
Pat, I am sorry to say that I don't have any really good information because every person I talk to, I mean, it's diametrically opposed to the last one I talked to. It's everywhere. It's as if you kick that anthill and they just go in a million directions. Arkansas has really, really, really poor leadership in Hunter Yurachek. I can't believe they're going to let him hire that next coach after swinging and missing on Lane. And now when the kind of the revisionist history from Arkansas, no, Brett, he didn't swing and miss on Lane. They had him. He backed away from him. Okay, first of all, that's not true. Second of all, let's go there and say that it is. That he got right to the point of hiring Lane Kiffin, but then, I'm a little scared. I'm not going to do this. So plan B was Sam Pittman?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I think it's ridiculous that I'm actually reading some stories out of Arkansas in which they're actually saying that, Bobby Petrino, if he shows improvement over the course of the next 7 games, that they would reconsider bringing him back. I mean, I know you.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
what's next? Mike Price back at Bama?
I mean, might as well. I mean, it's crazy to think, and I know that's your alma mater, but really, the guy that absolutely embarrassed your university, and
think about it, he can never ever escape that photo at that press conference when he said he was Montana tough with that neck brace on. And I've got a friend of mine that is a noted neck, spine type doctor, orthopedist type, and he says the neck brace is on backwards.
I never realized that. Oh, wow.
That was just for show. And I told a political friend of mine, it's the worst neck brace press conference. At least nobody lost their life this time, though, than Ted Kennedy wearing one after Chappaquiddick.
Yep, Chappaquiddick. Oh, wow.
Did you guys ever see that movie that they made on Chappaquiddick?
Yeah, I did.
That was a good movie.
That was a good movie.
I've walked across the Dyke Bridge. I've driven across the Dyke Bridge. I've driven across the Dyke Bridge drunk, and I didn't run into the gully.
You know who was in that movie that you forget about? He's a stand-up comic. Jim Gaffigan. Jim Gaffigan.
That's right. Yeah, he is. Yeah, I forgot about
that. I've been at Martha's Vineyard and stood right there and walked across it and literally have driven across it. I don't know how in the world you couldn't have done it better than that. But anyway.
It's fair.
Well,
it's it'll be interesting because,
that was the same weekend of, finally, United States and NASA going to the moon. That same weekend, we finally walk on the moon. That was President Kennedy's, one of his big missions is be the first to the moon. And it kind of spoiled the party at Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah. I would say put a little damper on the party for sure. Brett,
but it's hard to believe Bobby Petrino is back at Arkansas. Just imagine. And we all have friends like this in athletic departments. And I'm not disparaging anybody. I promise I'm not. Let's just say it's Brett making whatever, and I'm the middle associate AD in charge of whatever. And when he was there, he just rode herd over you, and you had to take it because he was winning and is doing well.
Yep.
And then he had the fall. And now this week, you got to look up and pass him in the hallway.
Oh, unbelievable. But, wow, great stuff.
It'd be like having to go to work for your ex-wife.
Yeah,
you're right. Very much so. All right, that is Brett Norsworthy, WHBQ Memphis. So you can hear him this afternoon and, as always, on the weekends on the Ole Miss Radio Network. Brett, I will chat with you a little bit later on your show. Always appreciate your time.
You got it, man. Thank y'all. Enjoy.
Thank you. That
Thanks,
is Brett
Brett.
Norsworthy. Man, he never disappoints, ever. Did not have Chappaquiddick on my bingo card for today's show.
Nope.
I've drove drunk on that bridge. Thank you, Brett.
And he didn't end up in the gully.
Oh, that was fantastic.
All right. We will continue on this
It was
Thursday.
a pond, wasn't it?
Pretty much. I mean, it's,
The car overturned.
Yep. All right.
Happy times.
Yeah. More three-man front here on Josh. It's 12:54. Welcome back into Three Man Front. Man, it's been a lively show. Appreciate everybody tuning us in each and every day here on Jocks from 10 until 2. Eric Henry, Rodney Orr, Rob Pate, Brett Norsworthy, all part of the guest list today. Tomorrow, we'll get a blue plate from Whip Sanderson. He lost last week. So hopefully he will be able to bring us a winner.
Conrad's got everybody stirred up. Can I get to one text?
I think you need to hold that text.
You think so?
Yes.
Is it the one about my wife?
No. It is not.
Is there one about your wife?
There is one about my wife. It's not.
Is it over the line?
No, I'd say it's all in good fun.
Okay.
Let us know.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of texts. Do we have that clip that we can play, Molly? Do we have that clip? Uh-huh. Yeah, we'll play you the clip that has got everybody across the Southeastern Conference.
Do we have Conrad's baby pictures?
And I mean, everyone is talking about Conrad going crazy about his prediction this weekend against the Vanderbilt Commodores. We'll let you hear that and read the text messages. That's all straight ahead